Slotherhouse is a 2023 creature feature directed by Matthew Goodhue. In a bid to become house president, a sorority sister adopts a cute sloth to be the house mascot. But little does she know that this sloth is much more dangerous than it appears. But before we get into this three-toed turd, I just want to ask that if you end up enjoying this video, then please think about hitting that like button and subscribing to my channel. It would really help me out. So thanks. Also, there will be full spoilers ahead, but if that doesn't bother you, then grab your snail shell flavoured popcorn and whip out your snoring shotgun as we dive into Slotherhouse. So the movie begins in the jungles of Panama, where we see this lovely three-toed sloth just minding its own business, being upside down and that, when it sets its eyes upon a very particular leaf it wants to eat at the end of a branch over a river. Don't know why it didn't pick any of the other various leaves right next to it, but I'm not a sloth, so what the hell do I know? Then before our furry little friend can grab the desired leaf, it's snatched off the branch by a crocodile. It should have listened to the age-old advice my grandma once gave me. Don't swing on a branch above croc-infested waters. She was a wise woman. We see the water turn red and are meant to assume the worst. But then plot twist for the muckers, 'twas the sloth which won the fight. But our survival sloth ain't out of the woods yet. Literally. As it's shot in the back with a tranquilizer dart thinking, "Oh, you buggers! Oh, you shot me while I'm still soggy!" Brrr. Then we meet our protagonist, who I'm just going to call Amy, because that's what it says on her top. And her friend is going to be called Burglar, on account of her black and white stripy top. Anyway, they're in a shopping mall and Amy is being very rude because her friend's trying to talk to her, but she's fixated on her damn phone. If I was Burglar, I would have taken it off her and smashed it to bits. Harsh and aggressive? Yes, but both necessary and cathartic. So Burglar says she's off to burgle somewhere. Then Amy sees a tiny dog-rat hybrid running towards these two kids and thinks, "My God, they'll be killed!" So she risks her life and does the unthinkable. She picks it up. Then this random guy says,
"Dog person, I presume."
"No, it's a dog-rat. And what are you? A bearded flat-capped twat, I presume." Yeah, he's totally getting called flat crap. And then, if you can believe it, Amy goes and takes a selfie with this total stranger without even asking him if he's cool with it. The bloody cheek of this lass! You're not doing a very good job of making me like this character, movie! Anyway, this lady turns up to take the escaped dog rat back to its maximum security containment facility. Then Flat Crap says to Amy, "You look like a sucker. Wanna buy a sloth?" Well, I can't say I was expecting to hear that today, but please go on.
They make amazing pets.
And if you give them the correct medication, they probably won't even kill anybody. Tempting. So he gives her his card and tells her to think about it. Then we're at Amy's sorority house, where we meet the stereotypical bitchy college chick who really needs to pull those shorts out of her ass before she loses them. Her character is called Brianna, so I'm just going to call her Brianus. Oh, and also Dick Tracy called and says he wants his hat back. Right now! Inside the house we're introduced to another couple of characters, namely Bad Drugs, because there's no way you can be this annoying without being on bad drugs, and Back Problems, because there's no way you can have chebs that big without having serious back problems. Anyway, Brianus is running for house president, but oh dearie me, someone has spelt president wrong. I surely hope this isn't brought up as a joke more than once.
Genius, you know you spelled president wrong.
Dummy spelled president wrong.
Fuck!
On the way to her room, Amy looks gormlessly at the presidential suite as if it's the bloody Holy Grail or something, before getting jump scared by her boyfriend, and then this happens. Salt my nuts and pickle my gherkin. If this is the quality of the comedy we're going to get in this movie, I'm going to need a drink. Good old Shippy to the rescue! Help me. I think she's bruised my gooch. Once Amy's tended to his bruised testicles, she goes to have a chat with an inebriated back problems about the previous house presidents.
Does the crown look like it's talking to you?
Actually, yeah, it's telling me I should run for house president. Really? It's telling me to burn down the house when you're all asleep. Wait, what? Okay then, good night. Don't let the flames engulf in the house bite.
That's assault! That is assault!
But this sneaky sausage overheard the conversation, and she's going to tell Brianus that Amy is going to run for house president too. Then we see Flat Crap on his laptop checking his illegal animal sales, when he notices the sloth has awoken.
Morning.
Morning, fella. Where am I? And why have you got my medicine?
What would happen if I don't give you these pills?
Well, two things, actually. Firstly, I'd turn into a bloodthirsty killing machine, and secondly, I'd shit absolutely everywhere. I'll let you decide which is worse. Back to Amy, and she's got a hankering for some sloth, so she messages Flat Crap and he says come by tomorrow morning. Then he takes the sloth out of its cage, which almost immediately starts to savage him, leaving Flat Crap looking an awful lot like me trying to dance. The next day, Amy turns up to his house, and what the hell? How has she got a car like that? She's a college student, for God's sake. Oh, I dislike her even more now. And yeah, that is jealousy talking. When I was in college, the closest thing I had to a car was me legs, which everyone else had too, so mine impressed no one. Amy knocks on the door, but nobody answers, so you'd probably just leave and go to the pet store and buy a gerbil or some shit, wouldn't you? But nope, she just lets herself into this guy's house like it's no big deal. Then she finds some pills all over the floor and the sloth just chilling on a table. And can you guess what she does? Yep, she just up and takes it. Right, so far she's ignored her friend in favour of her phone, taken a stranger's photo without his permission, turned up in an expensive car, trespassed on his property, and then stolen the sloth that he was going to sell her. Who wrote this character? Back to Brianus, and Sneaky Sausage has told her Amy is going to run for House President too. So when Amy arrives back at the house, Brianus accosts her trying to wrestle the sloth box out of her hands.
What's in the box?
It falls over the stairs and everyone watches as the poor sloth crawls out like, "Don't just stand there staring at us! Somebody give me a hug for fuck's sake!" Everyone is amazed by it, except Brianus, who's all like, "You can't keep that! The rules say no pets!"
Actually, Chapter 11, Section 18, Paragraph 5. Pets may be authorized as mascots of the house with majority approval.
Yeah, because people actually know shit like that from memory. Give me a break.
I'ma call a vote for the bear thing to be the new house mascot!
I said give me a break, not give bad drugs more dialogue. Jesus, lawnmower panic Christ.
Hang on a moment. Don't you think you're being a bit harsh?
Ken? Since when did you start talking again?
Oh, since you started drinking again, I believe.
Oh, that kind of makes sense. But in fact, no. I'm not being harsh enough. Bad drugs is about as funny as trying to cheese grate your knob off with a sieve.
Why on earth do you have a sieve on you?
So everyone votes in favour of the sloth being the house mascot. Then Burglar confronts Amy in her room about a new furry friend.
Why do you have a three-toed sloth hanging from your loft?
Well, you see, I brought it into the house, walked into my room, and then put it on the bed. Okay, but...
Where did you get our cute mascot?
The 100% legal sloth shop?
Oh my god, Em, you bought a poached animal?
Poached? It's not a delicately boiled egg without the shell, Burglar. It's a sloth. Then Bad Drugs turns up, so Burglar leaves because she can't stand her either. And Amy starts questioning her decision about keeping this wild animal which she stole from a stranger. But Bad Drugs, being the opposite of the voice of reason, convinces her to keep it, saying,
"You can give Slothy that good life, you know, and
It's like revolutionary selection and shit.
"This character made it into higher education. That's how poor the writing in this movie is." Meanwhile, Brianus is grilling her friends for voting to keep the sloth.
You seconded the vote, potato. Or you're gonna unsecond it.
How?
Get rid of the sloth.
Later that evening in the house is holding a big old party, because why the hell not? Before getting ready for the party, Amy feeds the sloth its anti-rampage medication, but then leaves her laptop unlocked so Slothy goes to check it out. No, it's not going to use the laptop, is it? See, that's the sort of stupid shit we need. More of that, please, movie. So Slothy checks her social media and finds the photo of her and Flatcrap, which makes it spit up its medication in anger. A short while later, Amy takes Slothy down to the party and lets Potato hold it. Then she conveniently leaves her alone with it, giving Potato a clear opportunity to get rid of the sloth. So she walks outside and leaves it next to some trees directly outside the house? Are you trying to get rid of it or make it feel more at home? I mean, where's the first place they're going to look for a sloth that goes missing? Oh, I don't know. Maybe the place they live in the wild. Anyway, Slothy ain't happy about this, so it sneaks back into the house and finds Potato in her bedroom, where it spikes her drink with its own medication, which is brilliantly bonkers. So Potato drinks the spiked punch and quickly finds herself paralysed on the floor. Watching in horror as Slothy gets closer and closer, saying, "I'm over here. Ooh, now I'm over here. Ooh, joke's on you, bitch, because now I'm over here." Then it sits on her chest and gives her a good old sloth slice. After the party is over, Amy can't find Slothy, and Brianna says she saw Potato take it outside and not come back with it. So Amy runs outside in a panic and starts shouting for it like a dog. It's not gonna come running, is it? It's a sloth! Although I kinda want it to. But it doesn't, so she goes back up to her room all upset. But then she finds the soggy sloth looming over her bed with its claws dripping with blood. And she doesn't even notice because that would make sense, wouldn't it? The next day and the girls are playing dodgeball for reasons unknown, and apparently they've taught Slothy to use a whistle overnight. And while they play, we get a montage of Slothy killing multiple members of the house in various ways, so surely this will send everyone into a state of pure chaos, right? Of course it doesn't. In fact, days go by and not only does no one find any of the dead sorority sisters, but they don't even bring up that anyone's missing. Now, I know this movie isn't meant to be taken seriously. I mean, the sloth just popped open and started supping a bottle of bud for Pete's sake, but my suspension of disbelief does not stretch far enough to accept that out of the 25 girls in this house, 7 of them have been murdered in the house and no one's realised.
That's the stupidest fucking thing I ever heard.
Anyway, Burglar isn't happy watching the sloth drinking a bottle of piss, so she says,
I'm gonna get you home.
and picks up Slothy, only for Amy to walk over and say,
Are you stealing my sloth?
"You stole the sloth to begin with!" Slothy then nicks Burglar's phone and scops it onto the ground next to them, and suddenly...
Don't go.
Why was that car driving so fast on campus? Why did the girls not hear it or see it? Why? Just why? So now Amy is visiting Burglar in the hospital and says,
I don't know. What do I want to do? Sometimes I don't even know who I am without other people.
Amy, I was just hit by a car. Stop talking about yourself!
Then we see Slothy stalking another couple of girls, which it also murders without anybody knowing. Then it's time for the election ceremony, and it all looks a bit too cultish for my liking. I mean, what are you doing, picking the House President, or who's going to give birth to the Antichrist? While they're doing this, however, Slothy uses Amy's phone to find the hospital that Burglar's at, and then it proceeds to take her car keys and drive there itself, which is all well and fun, but how is it able to touch the pedals? Shut up, that's how. Back to the cult, and the votes have been counted. Despite there obviously being 7 less than there should be, because they're dead, and surprising absolutely nobody, the new House President is Amy, who I'd be happy for if she wasn't so unlikable. So the girls have a party to celebrate while Slothy gets chased by a cop car for speeding. It eventually stops at the hospital and the cop says, "Hands up, invisible man! No more transparent shenanigans for you, Kevin Bacon!" Oh, there's nobody in there. Damn self-driving cars. A menace to society they are. Slothy finds its way through the hospital, and then takes a murder selfie with Burglar before smothering her with a pillow. I have no idea why it went so out of its way to do this, but it did, so we're stuck with it. Back to the party, where Amy and Bad Drugs finally start to question where the missing girls are, with Amy saying,
Oh, has anyone checked on them?
"Really? That's the way you're justifying this insane plot contrivance? No one's checked on them? I mean, that is literally the first thing you would do when someone goes missing! Let alone 7 of them!" Then, because it's finally been brought up, Brianna stumbles upon a dead body. Amy hears her screaming and then finds her being attacked by Slothy. But it was just at the hospital! How did it get back to the... Anyway, instead of killing Brianna straight away like the others, it just decides to hang around on her shoulders, giving Amy time to whack it off with a book. Book. Then they lock themselves in the bathroom, and Brianna is hysterical because a sloth was on her shoulders, so Amy gives her a slap and tells her to shut up, eh? Then they conveniently remember that one of the sorority girls is fond of guns, and plan to check her room for a weapon. So they leave the bathroom only to find Slothy turning round on a chair like,
"Good evening, Mr. Bond. I had a feeling you were behind this, Schlofeld."
Then it attacks Amy, so she knocks it out of the window with the back of her toilet bit. Obviously, the little bugger isn't dead, so she goes into the gun girl's room and finds a gun in the drawer. "Sorry it's late, but you don't mind if I borrow your gun, do you?" "Sure thing. I won't be using it tonight, 'cause I'm dead tired." Meanwhile, the others are playing a game of blindfold shower surprise, when Slothy turns the temperature of the water to really hot. "Good lord, she'll have minor first-degree burns! Somebody call nobody because she's barely injured!" Then Slothy pulls out one of those exposed electrical cables you usually have in the bathroom, and drops it on the floor, which electrocutes most of them, including Bad Drugs, thank God. Sneaky Sausage manages to get away though, and finds Amy to let her know what's happened, before she gets dragged away by the beastie. Oh, and Amy dropped the gun too because she's as useful as a marshmallow sledgehammer. Elsewhere, Back Problems wakes up after 20 odd years on the sauce, and goes to check out what all the commotion is. She soon finds Slothy looking menacing near a body of one of the girls, so she picks up a nearby hazing paddle and starts paddling it like there's no tomorrow.
That's a paddling.
Who? Paddling a sloth?
Oh, you better believe that's a paddling.
After seemingly defeating the furry fiend, she goes upstairs to find Amy, who is too scared to leave the room.
What is she still out there?
The sloth?
Yeah.
I killed her.
Oh, I guess that's the end of the movie then. Who could have seen that coming? Apart from everyone! Then we get a truly painful scene where Back Problems tells Amy not to waste her life obsessing what other people think of her. As if that's some sort of realisation young people simply cannot come to without the aid of this goddamn movie.
It's some hits.
Yes. Yes, it is. Then she dies and nobody cares. Amy leaves the room and bumps into her boyfriend, who is only there to get injured, before Bad Drugs turns up looking like she's spent all night in a dumpster. So Amy convinces them to go looking for Brianus, and find her hiding in a cupboard saying,
How do I know you're not the sloth?
Because she's talking American at you.
"American is not a language, you catastrophic cabbage!" Of course, when they're on the way out of the house, they get attacked by the sloth, which injures Amy's boyfriend, as we all knew it would, and chases a screaming Brianus, before having to dodge Bad Drugs' throwing knives. Then she fights the sloth with her katana, and I must admit the way it dodges some of her strikes made me smirk. Not laugh, but smirk. Then she runs the little bugger through, but gets gored by its claws in the process. But a sword through the midsection isn't enough to stop this little devil, as it picks up the sword to use it itself, only for the others to be saved at the last second by Burglar? Hey! I didn't see that coming, and I'm quite glad she's alive, actually. But Amy wants to make sure it's dead. Then when she's about to land the final blow, it wakes up and takes off into the house again.
Great. Wonderful. Shit.
Everyone else wants to bail at this point, but Amy won't leave Brianus behind.
But it's a Slotherhouse. But it's a Slotherhouse. It's a Slotherhouse. But it's a Slotherhouse. It's a Slotherhouse.
So Amy takes off to find Brianus and sees her walking down the stairs with the sloth on her shoulders holding her hostage. Oh, and the sloth is wearing the house president tiara because... Why it hasn't just killed Brianus again is beyond me, but it lets her go so her and Amy can have a fist fight. Amy takes a bit of a thrashing, but then pulls the tiara off its head, turns it upside down and stabs it with it. Then, as it lays dying, and this boiled my piss, it points to a picture of Panama on the wall and says... If you wanted to go home all this time, then why did you try and kill Burglar? She was gonna take you home! Jesus, rocket-powered Christ! The writing in this film is unbelievable! Then we get a 1 year later scene where the survivors are campaigning for the ethical treatment of animals. The sheer hypocrisy of this is truly staggering. End of movie. Oh man, I really wanted to like Slotherhouse, but its combination of painfully unfunny comedy and some of the worst writing I have ever seen just ruined about 90% of this for me. It's a real shame because there were bits that I enjoyed, namely the sloth doing ridiculous things like spiking someone's drink or driving a car, but absolutely everything involving the human characters was just awful. It's like someone tried to make a sloth-flavoured milkshake out of Mean Girls and Child's Play, but instead of using sloth milk, they used diarrhea. I wouldn't watch this shit again for $1 million. Actually, what the hell am I talking about? Of course I would!
Give it a guess!
So, Slotherhouse, what did you think of it? Did you like it? Did you loathe it? Let me know in the comments below while I disappear.